right, cue the music, cue the music. This is episode 2 of Let's Be Real with Chaney.J.R. I had recently had a guest speaker come up, but when there are single individual episodes with just me, those will be my episode 2. I will be dropping my first episode with my guest speaker, Arkel Sanders, and that will be my first episode with another person. But as far as me as an individual, this will be my episode 2. So, you guys, it's about to be a snowstorm. So let's talk about how the weather can change our relationships. So I want to get into the weather a little bit because that's a lot of things that we do not touch on. You guys know that I'm always going to start off with 3 questionnaires and you guys Q&A on, the questions and comments and concerns. But for this podcast today, I want to chime in on, does weather change the dynamic or the temperature in your relationship? Meaning the summer, the winter, or the spring, does that have a balance, or does it offset a relationship if it's healthy or non-healthy, or healthy or toxic? So remember, my job here is to help you guys navigate what is healthy and what is toxic. So for today, I wanted to basically talk about the weather. Does the weather have anything to do with the way that your person or your woman or your your husband or your male acts towards you? For example, we have the biggest snowstorm dropping off on us Sunday, tomorrow, snowed in. What does that say for couples that are in healthy relationships? What does that say for couples that are in toxic relationships? So I want to chime in on the weather, and I just want to get a little deep dive into how the weather can actually have an impact in your relationship. So let me get into one of my key questions. One of my questions that I got for you guys. Do you think people treat their partners better in certain seasons, like summer love versus winter love? Let me ask you again. And this is one question, and I have 3. I give you 3 questions on Let's Be Real with Chaney.J.R. Love Edition. And my question is, do you think people treat their partner better in certain seasons, like summer love versus winter love? So let me let you guys harp on that. Drop some hearts, drop some comments at the bottom if you guys think that people treat their significant other different in the summer than they do in the winter. So right now, we are going into a snowstorm as we speak. Are their significant others treating them different during this snowstorm than they would if we were having a heat stroke? Let's say if it was 100 degrees, do we treat our loved one different in 100-degree weather? Or do we treat them the same when we're in negative degree weather? I want to give you guys a minute to answer that. Make sure you guys that are tuning in on my live, drop some comments down there, because I'm also checking my lives on the side. I got my TikToks up right now. I got my Facebook up right now. I got my YouTube that's surfing in a second. So I'm checking on all platforms just for Q&As. So if you guys got any questions or comments or concerns about what I'm saying, please drop some in the chat right now. All right, so let's elaborate on what I just said. Do you think people treat their partners better in certain seasons, like summer love versus winter love? Let's talk about a little bit of summer love. Summer love. Summer love is different. It's hot. You're not bounded to be in the house. You're not stuck anywhere. You have free will to go anywhere you like to go. There's nothing preventing you from being seen, being outside. Nothing is preventing. It's skin out, buns out, face out. We look good in the summertime. Now, in the summertime, when it comes to people that are in healthy relationships, how are they holding their person down in the summertime? It's just like a normal summer day, honestly. It's like a normal day for people that are in healthy relationships. The seasons really doesn't change if you're in a healthy or a nourishing relationship. The season things really doesn't dictate anything because you guys are content at how you guys are in a relationship. So how she dressed, how he dresses, appearance, actions are beyond the weather. Now, um, you know, people that are in healthy relationships, they actually look more towards going out more splurging and spending time with each other. It's the summertime for people in healthy relationships is the time to actually splurge on your relationship, actually go out there and do the things that you guys say that y'all were going to do in the wintertime and actually put it to action. In healthy relationships, we like to really hold each other accountable for all the winter plans. So everything that we said that we was doing in the wintertime, we try to make that, transpire into the summer. Uh, going for me, for example, going to the aquarium, doing things like that, going on dates, amusement parks, things like that in healthy relationships. Those are the things like excursions and us going out on dates and things like that. Those are the most things that in the summertime and people in healthy relationships are worried about basically is spending more time with their significant other. And where can we go? What should we do? We don't even want to be crammed in the house. People that are in healthy relationships during the summertime, the most thing they want to do is, we need to go vacay. We need to go here. We need to go outside. We need to be where the fun is at. Mostly that is basically how people that are in healthy relationships see the summertime. People that are in toxic relationships, how do they view the summer? So in my view, people that are in toxic relationships, how they view the summertime is basically a time for them to be put on the shelf. They're back on the shelf. They're shopping. They're shopping for the baddest looking man, the baddest looking female. They're on the prowl during the summertime. During the summertime, and if you're in a toxic relationship, you have you have every reason to be outside to be seen because of the person that you with. If during that summertime isn't giving you the attention that you need, but guess what? We don't worry in the summertime when you're in a toxic relationship because there's so much excursions going on. You can be here, you can be there, you daytime, day room, brunch, this, that. People that are in toxic relationship love the summertime because they don't really have to sit there and really focus on their relationship so much because there's so much going on that. Thank you so much. Complimentary from my husband. Thank you, baby. Thank you so much for my lovely husband. So people that are in a toxic relationship, the first thing they want to do is get out the house. If you're in that toxic relationship, you like, girl, I haven't been outside in so long, girl. I've been cooped up in it with this man. I need to get up out of here. I need to see what's outside. Like, what's the next concert? People in a toxic relationship during the summertime wants to just get out and get away from that toxicity. Okay? They looking to fall in love. They're looking for one night stands. They're looking for new friends. They're looking for a new circle. They're looking for a new aura. They're trying to shed all of that, that winter, that nasty, us holding on to each other for so long. They're trying to shed that. So with that being said, the people that are in toxic relationships in the summertime, it's actually free game for everybody because everybody's skin out, buns out. It's an extravagant. It's a lot going on for people in toxic relationships in the summertime. Now let's shift the dynamic. How are healthy relationships during the winter time? We have a snowstorm tomorrow. Those that are in healthy relationships, what are we doing? What are you guys doing? What are people that are in healthy relationships during this snowstorm are doing? I'll tell you what they're doing. They're packing the whole entire house up. The dynamic is completely different when you're in a healthy relationship and you're and it's the winter time. You're honestly thinking more so about family, more so thinking about the dynamics of, us leaving the house too much. You actually care about your significant other going out too much. It's freezing out there. We try to make sure we're gathered. We're actually more secluded, more bundled, more on top of each other during the winter time. Now, if you're in a healthy relationship, it's normal. It's normalized. We might need a little space. I'm not saying people in a healthy relationship just thrive with their person next to them because it's not true. During the winter time, we're now hyper focused on each other because we're mostly snowed in. It's cold. We don't really really want to make that much of an impact outside because it's kind of freezing out there. And we're really limited to a lot of things we can do during the winter. So people that are in healthy relationships during the winter time, they most likely focus on the next day. Like, hey, what are we going to do towards food wise? So we don't have to keep going back outside the house. Like, it's more of a planning and understanding thing when you're in a healthy relationship on and during the wintertime, because nobody really wants to deal with the elements. And those that do wants to deal with the elements, when you're in a healthy relationship, the last thing you want your significant other to do is to be out in a blizzard, to be out in the cold. So you guys compromise, try to work together to do things like shopping, online things, like stuff like that, so we can get back into the crib. So nobody has to be worried. Now, again, when you're also in a healthy relationship, you got time where dinner is being prepped. But when you're in a healthy relationship, that could look like a man and a woman. It's not just one sided where just women are cooking. In my relationship, my husband actually cooks. So in our relationship, there are both cooks in our relationship. So that might look like, us prepping dinner, us getting the kids ready, taking it down, also, you get a little tired in the wintertime, especially when you're in a healthy relationship. You and your significant other be ready to take it in bed by 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock for real, when your days is really fulfilled. When you really have that healthy dynamic and that actual structure throughout your day, you kind of put a fucking knife in it and be like, you know what? We did all we could do. We're going to cut this day short, because it's just, the dynamic of everything. Now, when you're in an unhealthy relationship or a toxic relationship in the wintertime, it's very, very, very chaotic. It's very chaotic because a lot of time that you guys spend with not trying to really get down to the nitty gritty of your problems. Now you're stuck in the house with this person. Now you're aggravated. Now you're annoyed. Now you're waiting for the other shoe to drop. You're waiting to go to the store. You're waiting. When you're in a toxic relationship during the wintertime, it is the absolute worst. New York State, bless us all. We are all up in New York State, and we are all about to go through the biggest storm. Those that are in toxic relationship, please hold on. Please hold on. And I encourage you guys, and I challenge you guys that are in a toxic relationship to have those hard conversations with your significant other. Don't wait till the spring. Don't wait till the summer. You might as well get it out now, because you finna be snowed in. And this might be the most intimate times where everything is kind of standing still, and you or your husband or the wife can be heard from both sides, because at this point there's nowhere to go. No one's shopping. Everything's shut down. Schools are closing. So this is a great time, if you're in a toxic relationship, to actually get to the bottom of what actually the root of your problem is in your household. What is up with the dynamic where you guys can't be on the same page? This is a wonderful time during a storm, during the winter, to fix your relationship before the weather breaks, before your attention start expanding somewhere else. So I go back to my question. My question was, do you think people treat their partner better in certain seasons, like summer love versus winter love? I believe, like I said, there's different types of dynamics during the winter times, during the summer times, where you can be treating other people's different. But I personally have seen and have witnessed people treat their loved ones different in the wintertime than they actually treat their significant other in the summertime. To answer that question, I have seen people really love up on, really cut. Everybody call it cuffing season for a reason. That name cuffing season didn't come out of nowhere. The wintertime is cuffing season because a lot of men don't have nowhere to go. A lot of women don't have nowhere to go. So during those cold winter seasons, cuffing seasons, they're strategically trying to find a home for some of us that are in these toxic relationships, because there's no way that it's healthy if we have to smooch off anybody to sleep somewhere. So for this wintertime, there are a lot of people that actually treat their significant other a lot of 10 times better during the wintertime. Why? Because they're not outside. They're to themselves. They're gated in the home. So yes, I will say 100% yes. During the summertime, I know some people that show their ass, that are big show-offs, that act like they don't know Shorty, that they didn't sleep with Shorty during the whole winter time, all cuffed up looking like Sandy Cheeks, and y'all was all laying fat, all sweaty in the bed during that winter time. Now the summertime come, now you got to show her up. Now you got to be outside. You ain't got all them coats on. You ain't bundled up to the neck. You outside with shorty and now you acting like you don't know her. Why you acting like you don't know her when you done spent the whole winter at her crib? Now the weather break, now you act funny. So I believe people do treat people different during the seasons, during the summertime and during the wintertime. If you guys agree, drop some hearts. If you guys disagree, tell me why. This means to my second question. When life gets cold, do you shut people out or do you start seeing who really shows up? When life gets cold, and once again, we're talking about the weather. We are going. New York State is going through the biggest snowstorm. Was finna hit us through it all. But when we get cold, like inside, do we start to see people for who they are? When we get a little cold, like when we start to build those walls, when we start to build those boundaries, people will say, she getting a little cold, like, say she's not acting like the same person. So when life gets cold, do you shut people out or do you start seeing who's really shows up? Because I know most people shut people out. Like me, for example, when sometimes when I can't focus so much, like right now, there's a lot going on with me personally right now, in my life where I'm actually reconstructing and redirecting and rebranding everything for myself. So there is a boundary wall that goes up. I wouldn't say I get cold, but I do get a little bit numb to sharing, to oversharing, and just basically giving the plot to where I'm going with things. So when life gets cold for me, I definitely build that type of foundation where you will have to get a picket axe to go through what I'm going through, because it's a protection barrier for me, because I just can't, allow everybody just to flood my gates. You know what I'm saying? But what about for you guys? When life gets cold for you guys, do you guys build this type of barrier, or are you accepting and allowing other people to pour into you and you pour back into other? Because I'm gonna be honest, when life gets cold for me, I completely shut out. I completely have to hyper focus because I'm a hyper focused person. So when life gets really tough for me, there's no way that I can allow everybody that I normalize in my circle to just exist because I'm not really existing, you know? Let's say, like, when it gets cold outside, how much of the dynamic shifts between you and your significant other? Now, let's say, like just how we were speaking on like the summertime or the spring or the fall. How proactive was he when it was nice and beautiful and sunny outside compared to a blizzard, compared to driving out your way to me, compared to, you have to go out of your way? Is this the same dynamic person that you're with in a relationship that were willing to go over mountains due to the seasons, in a sense of, does the weather changes your relationship? Does he gives too many excuses to why he can't be there? Or unfortunately, I can't do this. Unfortunately, I can't do that. But you remember in the springtime, you was always at my house. It was very convenient. But now because it's cold, you feeling like, you might have to shovel your stuff. I'm not a convenient anymore. Why is that? Why do people treat people that way? Because you can only say, you know what? Honestly, it's cold as hell outside. I'm not about to shove no. People could just be transparent about that. Why drag that person and make that person feel like it's really done when all due reality is just the weather? But people act different during the different seasons. And this is what I'm just trying to channel. When life gets cold, do you shut people out or do you start seeing who really shows up? Meaning the weather, like it's a snowstorm. Do people show up for you through a snowstorm? Let's say you have a show. Do your significant other makes it his business to be like, I don't give a fuck if it's hell, sleet, or snow. I'm going to be there for you. Or do the person make excuses? Do the weather affects your relationship? Is the question. This snowstorm, is this affecting your relationship with your significant other? So my question is again, do you think cold weather brings out loneliness more than any other season? Now, once again, I am completely a lover's girl. And for me, I don't start to feel alone unless it's cold outside. When it's summer, you gotta keep going. You gotta keep going. You just gotta keep striving. It's lit. It's outside. It's outside. It's outside. It's 24 hours. But those wee hours, those cold hours, those quiet hours, those calm down hours. Why does those hours make us feel loneliness in a relationship? And if you're in a healthy relationship, can you still feel that same type of loneliness in your relationship during the winter in a healthy relationship? In a healthy relationship, you can definitely feel lonely during the winter time because your significant other isn't going to be there 24/7. And sometimes your significant other probably can't go everywhere with you 24/7. Take me for an example. I have shows, I have productions, I have things, and my husband, 9 out of 10, can't be with me all the time because we have 3 children. So he'll most likely have to be home with our children, and he also have a studio at home. So most of the time, I will be doing things dolo where I will feel lonely, and a lot of my shows be throughout the winter time. A lot of competitions and nationals and things like that are throughout the winter time that I compete in. You guys do know I am a majorette CEO coach. So a lot of my shows are through the winter time, and those are for me, because I am in a healthy relationship, those are mostly, some of my loneliness times, because I like to share all of those moments with my husband. But due to the fact that our dynamic and we have 3 children, that is another lonely type of feeling. Also when I like to go on these excursions and things like that, and like out of town things for my company during the winter time, it can get very lonely because my husband's back at home, and then it makes me reflect, and it's cold as hell, so it makes you reflect. Like, had it been the winter time, the summertime, I would still miss my husband, but it'll be less eerie because it's less cold and it's less things to think about. Now let's talk about when we're in a toxic relationship. Do you think cold weather brings out loneliness? When you're in a toxic relationship, does cold weather bring out loneliness? Absolutely. It's like a yes, yes on both sides. There's no wrong answer on either side, because when you're in a toxic relationship and it's cold outside and it's -3 and you're going through it and you're alone, that can also bring out heavy signs of depression, because then you have to self-reflect and you have to sit there and think and feel for real, because for some reason the weather changing and the stillness of the winter, it just brightens literally like everything you're going through, and it makes you like literally like magnify your entire relationship and be like, wow, man, like this relationship is really toxic, and when it comes down to it, like, I'm really by myself, like, and the winter will make you feel like that. Now the spring and summer, like, you can't you're always going to just keep moving, so like you really don't have the time to really sit and really understand, like, damn, am I really alone? It's okay, I got all these beautiful people. Like, during the spring, you see all these beautiful people, everybody's all to themselves, locked away, tucked away. You see it on social media, people are bundled, people are cute. You got Christmas, and then after Christmas is in February. You got Valentine's Day, which is also still in winter. So things like that really creeps up, and that's gonna be my next. That's gonna be my next podcast. We're gonna talk about Valentine's Day. I don't want to spoil the Valentine's Day alert, but I will definitely agree that the cold weather definitely brings out so much like depression and anxiety when you are in a toxic relationship, or even when you are in a healthy relationship, because the coldness is something about being cold and freezing your ass off. It just pisses you off, and it just make you just be like, it's just a shut down thing, you know what I'm saying? If we can all thrive in the sun all day and all long, I think we all be different people. If we didn't have no damn snow, we all might just thrive great, better in the beach and the water and things like that. But unfortunately, we got the damn snow. This is what brings me down to my last and final question for you guys. Do people confuse needing warmth with needing love? Y'all, I promise y'all I come up with these questions. I promise you I do. Let me say that again. Do people confuse needing warmth with needing love, needing warmth. I just need warmth. I just need the body. This is my last and final question for Let's Be Real with Chaney.J.R. When there's people confused that I need warmth with I need love. I need a body right here with me to hold me, to just, validate my feelings, validate my mind, validate my body. I need that warmth. Do we confuse that with the love? Because you here, you're present, your body, you're able. But do we confuse that body, that present, with love? Do we confuse the two? Do people confuse the two with needing warmth with needing love? And I'm going to give you guys a great scenario about how I was definitely confused about the warmth of a person and the love that I actually should have been getting. So I've just a backstory on me. I have grown up with both my parents, my mother and my father. I have watched my mother and my father thrive as long as they possibly can. But as far as I know a two-parent household. As far as I know, my mother and father, they separated when we got a little bit older. My mom has a fiance, and my dad is happy. So that's the type of dynamic that I have seen growing up. So I've always seen my mom with a man, and I've always seen my dad with a woman. I have never seen them without a significant other, like ever. Even if they weren't with each other, they were with someone. So for me, I felt as if, if mom and dad still found the comfort in another person, it's normal for, people to just move on and then find love and, just find comfort in finding another person. So for me, before my husband, I was in a long-term relationship, very, very young, very long-term relationship. I was in, and I honestly would like to say that in that relationship, I was very comfortable with the love and the support that that person was giving me, and it was completely transparent, and it was literally love at a very young age for my young self. Once I got out of that type of relationship, he broke it off with me. I wasn't the type of woman that he desired. um I started to seek just the warmth and love of the next man, just the comforting and just the validation for the next man, just the presence of the next man, because the love that I received from the person that I was with for a very we're gonna call this person Jack. The love that I received from Jack for a very long time, I just couldn't replace that with anything else. And instead of healing, I just jumped to the next Bill. So now I'm with Bill, and Bill isn't fulfilling my love. He's just fulfilling the spot. He's not fulfilling what Jack had to offer. He's just fulfilling the void, and he's just a placement holder of something that I thought was real. So a lot of times we'll get out of a serious relationship and we'll hop into another one just because it feels wonderful. It feels comforting. It feels lukewarm. It feels familiar. But in all due reality, we're not healed. We didn't take accountability for the relationship to learn from our mistakes to move forward so we can be able to help ourselves to help the next person. We was just ready to jump to the next piddle to post, and we forgot that, hey, at some point, you're going to have to really look yourself in the mirror and take accountability that you just jumped from the next man to the next man, and you're expecting this next man to give you what your last man gave you. But that last man said it was over. So you trying to jump so quickly back in love and just to be underneath the next person isn't going to work. But why do we do that? Why do we do that? Why do we confuse warmth with love? Why do we confuse, like, oh my God, I'm just so happy that she's coming home to me. At the end of the day, she comes home to me. And instead of, I'm just happy that you love me, and I'm just happy to be here with you. Why do we get so comfortable with a placement holder other than the real thing? I want you guys to answer that for me if you can. If you guys can answer any questions about that, I want to know, why do we do that? If I have any comments, but I can't even see every time I try to see the comments. Okay. Well, all I wanted to say today on this podcast is for us to get an understanding about the weather and how the weather can or cannot dictate your relationship, rather you're in a healthy relationship or you're in a toxic relationship. Do not let the weather dictate your relationship, because either it's built on structure or it's built on pillows. In either way, the winter will test whatever that is. The summer, it really, it is what it is, because we're all outside. We can mingle, we can do this, we can do whatever we like. But during the winter time, things sit still. Your mind sits still, your body sits still. So I'm gonna leave you guys with my closing statement. Winter does not ruin love. It reveals it. And if the cold exposes the truth, maybe it wasn't the season. Maybe it was the situation. So lots of people like to blame it on, like, you ever heard that song? You say you love me in December. That's actually a real song. It ain't what I heard. You said you love me. That song, You Said You Love Me in December, is exactly what I'm speaking on. And in December time, you were so all about me. You were so loving me. But then when the summer came, but was it a seasonal thing? Or was it a just a placeholder? Was it a seasonal thing, or was you just convenient? Was it a seasonal thing, or you were just somebody I could use at the moment? It wasn't a seasonal thing. And people need to stop using seasons to dictate how they treat people, because that's not right. Right now, we're in a tragic snowstorm. I hope everybody gets home safe. I hope everybody gets all their food. I hope everybody is door dashing, Walmarting, all these things, y'all. The weather is finna be crazy. I'm out here in upstate New York. The weather is -3. If you do not have a reason, if your loved one is at home, please love on him. Turn to your loved one. If he is there, kiss on him, love on him. If she is next to you, kiss on her, love on her. Because once again, this is Let's Be Real with Chaney.J.R, Love Edition. And I'm only here to steer you guys into the right position of knowing what's toxic love and what's healthy love. Today, we wanted to just give an overview on how the weather can have an impact on your relationship. Now, I want you guys to always keep it real, and keep it real with me on Let's Be Real with Chaney.J.R, Love Edition. All right, y'all.